Welcome to the Debrief, where we talk to the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the headlines they're covering this week and where the story's going next. I'm Jim Antle. I'm joined today by senior editor David Mark. David had some primaries that have tested former President Trump's clout, seen a split verdict in the most recent primary, a Trump-endorsed candidate winning, a Trump-endorsed candidate losing. Where do we stand?
Yeah, Trump had a mixed night on May 10th. There was an interesting primary in West Virginia, a Republican primary. Due to the state's big population loss, a couple of Republican House members were forced to run against each other. Happens every redistricting year, once every 10 years.
Right.
The Trump-endorsed candidate won pretty solidly there, and that was after he actually campaigned with Trump, not even in his own district, but in neighboring Pennsylvania. So it just shows the pull Trump still has. But it wasn't a complete win for Trump, not at all. Over in Nebraska, a candidate he was backing for the Republican gubernatorial primary came up short. He finished second, even though Trump had rallied with him just days before. Although it's worth noting, the guy, Charles Herbster, didn't lose by that much, and he'd been way down before, and he had some rather
serious problems.
Yeah, he had some ethics issues. There were a number of women who have suggested he groped them over the years and whatnot. So it wasn't that big of a loss for Trump. So still, overall, a mixed night for Trump's endorsement power.
Which sets the stage for another test for former President Trump's endorsement power. Obviously, the Pennsylvania Senate primary is a big race coming up. Trump has a candidate in that race, not guaranteed to win, close race by the polls. What do we make of that?
Yeah, this is a fascinating race. Dr. Mehmet Oz, longtime television personality, has the backing, the endorsement of former President Donald Trump. He's running against a wealthy former hedge fund executive, David McCormick. But there's another candidate, Kathy Barnett, an African-American woman who's surging now. She's kind of come out of nowhere, and she's presenting herself as the true MAGA candidate. She doesn't have a multi-million-dollar campaign, infrastructure, anything like that. She's just gotten to the debates and made her case. So it is very much an open question where Trump's endorsement, how powerful it is in that race.
And of course, there's Georgia, which could end up being one of the bigger tests of Trump's power overall, given that he's weighed in this gubernatorial primary against the incumbent, relitigating 2020. But it's not necessarily clear that that's going to go well for Trump.
Right, and this one I think is notable and different because this is the race where Trump specifically nudged the candidate in. This is former Senator David Perdue, Republican, of course, who was in office for a single term before losing in the 2020 cycle. He actually lost in early 2021, which helped flip the Senate to to Democratic control. In all these other races, the candidates were already in. Here, Trump specifically tapped Perdue on the shoulder and said, I want you to run against my nemesis, sitting Republican Governor Brian Kemp, whose alleged sin was not meddling in the 2020 election for Trump's benefit. It looks like Perdue is going to lose big time, probably the biggest faceplant we're going to see on any Trump-endorsed candidate. So that's going to be a big embarrassment and setback.
Now, on the Senate side, these primaries could matter quite a lot because Republicans are heavily favored to take back the House, given historical trends, President Biden's job approval ratings, just all the things going on in the country. The 50-50 Senate, though, it's a little bit of a more uneven thing.
Absolutely. There are a couple of currently Republican-held seats the Democrats have a shot at. Pennsylvania, as discussed, Wisconsin, a little bit later in the primary cycle. Those are both Democratic pickups. Of course, Republicans have their own targets in Nevada, Georgia, Arizona, and some other places, but it is touch and go in the Senate. So nominating the right candidate is key. And this is something that Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is intimately familiar with, having presided over a bunch of races back in the 2010, 2012 cycles in which Republicans nominated candidates the party base favored, but they really just couldn't persuaded the general election. There was, remember, Christine O'Donnell of I'm Not a Witch infamy and a couple of other candidates who made rather questionable remarks about abortion and rape and other such things that did not play well with the general populace.
So you can have a red wave, but if you don't have the right people surfing it, you might still wipe out.
Well said.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
You can read David and the rest of our political team's coverage at washingtonexaminer.com.